All right, here we will have some examples with unary operators. So operations are often operators are defined within the class, so we can still keep the members private. We can access members of the class without accessors or mutators. So let's take a look at this here. So we got our same class light bulb. It's got watts, lumens, and temperature. We've got our typical headings that we always use. On the public side, we got a light bulb. This is the default constructor. We're going to have a 60-watt light bulb that generates 900 lumens and has a color temperature of 2700. We've got this operator here. Here, the big difference is the asterisk, the times operator. This is now defined within the class. This is the big difference between what we did before and what we're doing now. Here, what you'll notice, it actually only has one argument. It has one parameter argument that goes into it, which is the integer for the increase factor. Why is that? Well, because we are defining this in the light bulb class, by default, the light bulb will be an object that is a light bulb, will be the first operand that goes in front of the operator symbol. So all we have to specify when we are in the class is the integer for the increase factor, and that is it. By doing it this way, we are only allowed to do it where we do the bulb times the integer. If you're doing it within the class, it won't allow you to do the bulb second. So it's going to use the bulb class object first as the first operand, but it will not let you change the order around. So you don't have to type it, which is kind of nice. It's going to use the light bulb class by default, but the drawback is you can't make it commutative like we just did. Here what we've got is a print vals function. It's a function that has no return type, so it is a void. This function doesn't return anything. It also doesn't take any arguments, so it's got just empty parentheses. And all it does is it will just output the watts used, the lumens, and the temperature. And notice again, since we are within the class, we don't have to do like bulb.watts used, bulb.lumens, bulb.temperature. We're within the class, we can just say watts used, lumens, temperature. So then here, we're doing this same kind of thing we did before. We're initializing bulb A and bulb B. Bulb A will just be the default. Bulb B will be the default, but then we're going to reset it. We're going to double bulb A. And then here, when we take bulb B and print the values, do the print vals function, what that will do is it will show us that the watts and lumens are doubled, but then the temperature is still the same. So slightly different. Here we define the operator overload inside the class, which is sort of how it's typically done. Big drawback, I cannot do this, 2 times bulb A. That is not a thing. If I run this, it's going to have a compiler error and get very mad at me. So inside the class, let's see, I already basically said that. There's one key difference between how the operator is defined inside versus outside. Notice we have one input. Let's see, the order of operations is still in effect. We can multiply a light bulb by an integer. We cannot do an integer times a light bulb. If you start from within the light bulb class, you start with a light bulb. The only way to do an integer times a light bulb is to define it outside the class. All right, so we kind of already said that. Let's look at unary operators. We're going to define a new unary operation for the exclamation point, which traditionally means not in Boolean logic. So let's look at what this does. This is going to define a dead light bulb, which means we're going to set the watts and the lumens equal to 0. So a lot of this is the same. We've got our typical headers. Here's our class definition. These are all private variables. We didn't come out and say they were private, but by default, things in a class will be private. On the public side, users will have access to these things. Here's our constructor function. Here we've got our operator function, which is going to, which we were just talking about. So it's going to just multiply by some factor. Here we're going to have a Boolean operator, which is less than. It's going to return the watts used if it's less than a watts used. So this operator is going to compare a light bulb to a different light bulb. So we're going to have light bulb, we're passing by reference here. It's got the ampersand. You might remember that. So it's going to refer to some other light bulb, and it's going to return either true or false if the watts of our first one is less than the watts of the second one. And then here is the unary operator for not, the exclamation point. It's going to give us a dead light bulb. It's going to keep temperature the same, but it's going to change the watts and the lumens and set them to 0. And then we've still got this print vals function here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do light bulb, and we're going to do bulb B. We're going to create one. And then here we're going to do a dead light bulb. So we're going to do not bulb. We're going to print the values. So when we do this, this gives us a dead light bulb. The watts and the lumens are both 0. The color temperature is still the same. And then here we've got an example for the plus operator. Here you can do what's called prefixing and postfixing. And so what this means is if you put the symbol ++ in front, if it is a prefix, it will do something different than if you do it as a postfix and put it afterwards. So let's take a look at this example, and this is probably where we're going to have to stop for today. But let's go ahead and look at this here right quick. So here we're creating a class elephant, and we've got our IO stream and standard namespace like we usually do. The elephant class, we're just going to make this all public just to keep it simple. We're going to have a float for height and weight for this elephant. We're going to have a constructor function. So the defaults for an elephant will be 10 feet high and 13,000 pounds for its weight. Here, we're going to have a prefix operator. So this is going to be for ++ elephant. And so again, it's going to do the operator and then just elephant class by default. So we're going to start with that. and this is going to increase the height of the elephant. We're going to add 0.1 to the height. So it's going to go from 10 to 10.1. Here we're going to have a void, and then here we're going to do the operator for plus plus again. Here we've got an integer of just whatever. It doesn't even matter what it is. This is going to be a postfix operator. This is going to be for elephant plus plus. This is going to increase the weight of the elephant, and it's going to add 100 pounds. The reason why the integer doesn't matter is because it's not actually going to take in an integer. It's just going to, by default, just add 100 pounds to whatever. And then we're going to have a void to print the characteristics. We're going to output the height. We're going to output the weight. So we're going to create an elephant called Dumbo. We're going to print his characteristics. He'll just have the default values. If we do Dumbo plus plus, that's going to add 100 pounds. So if we do this first one, he will be 13,100. If we do plus plus Dumbo, which is this one, it's going to add 0.1 to his height. So if we run this, we will get 3 stats for elephants. The first, we have the defaults, 10 and 13,000. And this is for increasing the weight. The height is still 10, the weight is 13,100. The last one is going to increase the height. So the height is up to 10.1, and the weight is still up to 13,100 because that's what we left it as last time. So that's, so you can actually do unary operators, and there are ways you can do different definitions. Even within the class, you can do different definitions for if the symbol goes in front or if the symbol goes in back. So fun fact, that is a thing. If I remember right, there's one page left, and I think we will leave that for next time. So next time, we're going to talk about Friends and not the TV show. Okay, so